Sit back, relax, and welcome to Reading Hours. Today's book is Watership Down by Richard Adams. Please let us know in the comments from where you are watching, or if there is a book you want us to summarize in future. Watership Down by Richard Adams is a beloved and complex novel that has captured the imaginations of readers for decades. First published in 1972, this epic tale of adventure, survival, and heroism is often remembered as a story about rabbits, but it is so much more. While the book follows the journey of a small group of rabbits seeking a new home, it also delves into deep themes of leadership, the struggle for freedom, and the nature of survival in a world that is often harsh and unforgiving. It is a story of life and death, friendship and loyalty, and the quest for a place where one can live in peace and safety. At its core, Watership Down is about a group of rabbits, led by the resourceful and determined Hazel, who escape the destruction of their warren to search for a new home. Along the way, they face countless dangers, predators, human-made obstacles, and internal struggles that threaten to tear them apart. But through it all, they remain steadfast, their bond and loyalty to each other growing stronger with each trial they face. It's a tale that combines the beauty of nature with the harsh realities of life, and the small yet extraordinary triumphs of these animals resonate deeply with readers of all ages. Richard Adams' storytelling is rich with detail, immersing the reader in a world where animals speak, think, and act with complex motivations and emotions. What sets Watership Down apart from other animal stories is the level of depth Adams brings to his characters and their journey. The novel is filled with references to mythology, philosophy, and even the darker side of existence, as the rabbits confront the inevitable challenges of their world, their society, and their own selves. On the surface, the book is a simple quest narrative, but underneath, it tackles questions about fate, leadership, and what it means to build a community. As we follow Hazel and his companions through their harrowing adventure, we are invited to reflect on the larger themes of survival in a world that constantly challenges our ideas of morality, loyalty, and purpose. It's a world where courage is not the absence of fear, but the strength to face it head-on, even when the odds seem impossible. In this video, we'll dive into the journey of Hazel and his group of rabbits, starting from the first signs of disaster in their home warren, all the way through their trials and triumphs as they seek refuge on the distant Watership Down. Their journey is not just physical, but a deep and transformative one, shaping the characters into leaders, survivors, and friends who learn that even the smallest among us can accomplish great things when they come together with purpose. The story begins in the peaceful, pastoral world of the rabbits, nestled within the safety of their warren. The rabbits are a part of a larger, orderly society, small, simple creatures living in harmony with the land and with each other. However, this sense of security is abruptly shattered when Fiver, a seemingly ordinary rabbit, experiences a terrifying vision that will change everything. Fiver, though smaller and weaker than many of the other rabbits, possesses a unique and eerie gift: the ability to sense impending danger. His visions are not based on superstition or mere imagination, but rather a profound connection to the natural world that often sees beyond the immediate present. In this moment, Fiver's vision is clear. The warren is doomed, and death will come for them all if they stay. At first, The elders of the warren dismiss Fiver's warnings as the ramblings of a frightened rabbit, attributing his words to nervousness or overactive imagination. They are deeply rooted in tradition and are hesitant to accept the reality of change, especially the notion that something as permanent as their home could be destroyed. But Hazel, Fiver's older brother, is different. He trusts Fiver's intuition. Hazel has always been the more thoughtful and observant of the two, a rabbit who doesn't act impulsively, but considers all the possibilities before making a decision. Hazel knows that his brother's visions are rarely wrong, and so he listens carefully, weighing the significance of the warning. While Fiver is anxious and emotionally consumed by his vision, Hazel remains calm, trying to absorb the gravity of what Fiver has revealed. Hazel is torn between his loyalty to his home and his growing fear that Fiver's words are not simply a bad dream. He finds himself haunted by the possibility that the warren's destruction might be imminent. In the face of the elders' dismissal, Hazel makes a bold decision that would ultimately shape the fate of not just himself, but a group of rabbits who would go on to face challenges greater than they ever imagined. Hazel decides to take action. With a sense of quiet determination, Hazel begins to form a plan. He knows that to ignore Fiver's vision would be to risk everything. The impending danger isn't just an abstract fear. It is something real, something that looms over them like a dark cloud. After carefully considering his options, Hazel reaches the decision that he and a small group of rabbits should leave the warren and seek a new home. The group will set out in search of a place where they can live free from the looming shadow of destruction. It is a desperate move, one that might lead them to safety, but just as easily could lead them to ruin. With no time to waste, Hazel gathers a group of trusted companions. He chooses Bigwig, a strong and somewhat arrogant rabbit who was once part of the elite guard of their warren. Though Bigwig is known for his bravery, his impulsiveness and hot-headedness often lead him into trouble. Despite his brash nature, Bigwig respects Hazel's leadership and agrees to join the journey. Alongside Bigwig, there is Dandelion, a clever and quick-witted rabbit who offers a lighter, more humorous touch to the group. Dandelion's role is not as a fighter, but as a storyteller and a source of morale for the group during difficult times. Together, these rabbits, along with Fiver, begin their journey into the unknown. The atmosphere is filled with a palpable sense of fear, yet there is also a flicker of hope. For Hazel, the fear is not just about the immediate dangers they will face, but also the weight of responsibility he feels as their leader. As the group sets out from the warren, Hazel takes the reins, understanding that the decisions he makes will impact the lives of everyone with him. The burden of leadership is not one Hazel has sought, but it is one he takes on with a quiet resolve. Unlike other rabbits who might rely on physical strength or instinct, Hazel's leadership is built on thoughtfulness, empathy, and an ability to consider the bigger picture. The early days of their journey are filled with uncertainty and danger. The rabbits are no longer sheltered by the familiar burrows of their warren. Instead, they are thrust into the vast, open world filled with unknown risks. They navigate through fields, forests, and unfamiliar terrain, constantly on guard for any signs of predators or threats. Despite the heavy uncertainty, there is a growing sense of camaraderie and trust among the group. Each rabbit plays their part in the survival of the group, with their strengths balancing each other. Bigwig, for instance, is the protector, fiercely guarding against any predators, while Dandelion's quick thinking helps them navigate the tricky situations they find themselves in. The journey is not just a physical one, it is also an emotional and psychological struggle. The rabbits, now alone and exposed, begin to confront their own fears and vulnerabilities. They no longer have the comfort of a warren to fall back on, no walls to shield them from the outside world. Every moment feels fraught with tension, and every decision has high stakes. Hazel, despite his quiet resolve, finds himself questioning his decisions. He knows that their survival depends on his ability to lead, to keep the group together and focused on the goal ahead. As the days pass, the rabbits face numerous challenges, both physical and emotional. They encounter predators, such as birds of prey and the lurking threat of domestic cats, reminding them that danger is always nearby. The world outside the warren is a hostile one, where each day can be a battle for survival. The rabbits are forced to adapt to this new, unforgiving reality, constantly learning and growing in ways they never anticipated. However, the group begins to feel the weight of their separation from the comfort and familiarity of their old lives. The psychological toll of leaving their home weighs heavily on them. In their solitude, the rabbits begin to reflect on their old lives, their relationships, and the meaning of their journey. The loss of their warren is not just the loss of a physical home, but the loss of a sense of identity, of belonging. It is a loss that each rabbit processes in their own way, and Hazel, as the leader, must find a way to unite them in the face of overwhelming odds. The journey continues, with each day presenting new challenges, but there is also a glimmer of hope. The rabbits are not just running from danger, they are searching for something more, something that will give them a new sense of purpose and a place to call their own. As they press on, the bonds of friendship and trust continue to grow, laying the foundation for the adventures and trials to come. As the rabbits continue their journey, the landscape around them becomes more unfamiliar and threatening. A far cry from the relative safety of their old warren, the group is now fully exposed to the dangers of the outside world, no longer able to retreat into the familiar burrows that had once shielded them from the harsh realities of life. Hazel, though still committed to leading his group towards safety, cannot escape the heavy responsibility that weighs on him. He constantly wonders whether Fiver's vision was a warning of impending doom or a reflection of their own fears. Yet, despite these doubts, the journey continues, and the group pushes forward through the dense underbrush, determined to find a place where they can establish a new home. The rabbits face a wide array of obstacles, both physical and psychological, that constantly test their resolve. Their first real taste of danger comes when they encounter a group of hungry, wild animals, predators that could easily pick off the weakest among them. The rabbits must use all their wits and agility to escape the threats lurking in the wild. Bigwig's strength and fighting ability are an asset, but it is often Hazel's cool-headed decisions that save them from disaster. The group is beginning to see that survival in this new world is not just about strength. It's about intelligence, teamwork, and the ability to adapt to changing circumstances. Along the way, they also come across a much-needed source of food, a peaceful patch of grass where they can rest and refuel. The rabbits eagerly dig into the fresh greenery, their hunger temporarily assuaged. But even in moments of respite, there is always the looming question: how long will this peace last? This quiet moment of calm gives the group a chance to catch their breath. But it's clear that the journey is far from over, and that the rabbits will face many more dangers as they press on. It's during these quiet times that the internal dynamics of the group begin to evolve. Hazel, though hesitant at times, becomes more resolute in his role as leader. His leadership style continues to contrast with Bigwig's more impulsive and combative approach. Bigwig, with his military-like training and sheer strength, is eager to take charge in moments of tension. But Hazel's steady, patient approach starts to prove more effective. Hazel, ever observant, knows that in a world where survival is uncertain, a calm mind and a thoughtful plan will be the key to their success. His quiet determination is contagious, and the others begin to rely more and more on his leadership. Despite this, not all the rabbits in the group are completely at ease with the idea of following Hazel's lead. Fiver, though still shaken by his visions, is ever the anxious one, constantly looking over his shoulder, as though expecting danger to strike at any moment. His fear, while not without basis, begins to irritate some of the other rabbits. In contrast, Dandelion's ability to keep spirits up through humor and storytelling helps keep the mood lighter, though even his jokes can't hide the reality of their situation. The balance between fear and optimism is delicate, and the tension among the group continues to build. One of the most significant developments in this part of the journey occurs when the group reaches a series of open fields and must navigate their way through unfamiliar territory. The vastness of the landscape is intimidating, and the open fields provide no cover or hiding places. For the rabbits, who are used to the protection of the warren and the surrounding woods, this open space feels perilous. Hazel senses the fear in his companions, but knows they must press on. His resolve is tested as they march forward into the unknown, but he refuses to let his fear show. As they travel through this unfamiliar land, the group encounters more danger. A sudden, sharp sound breaks the silence, an alert from Bigwig that a predator is nearby. Instantly, the group springs into action, their instincts kicking in as they race for cover. In a split second, the rabbits dart into a nearby thicket, the predator just moments behind them. This is their first true test of survival, and it is here that the group learns a valuable lesson. The world they inhabit is merciless, and they cannot afford to take their safety for granted. The predator, a swift and deadly hawk, circles above them, its talons ready to strike. But it is Hazel's quick thinking that saves them. He orders the group to remain perfectly still, camouflaged by the thick foliage, as the hawk flies overhead, ultimately losing sight of them. This close call brings the rabbits closer together. They realize that each of them has a role to play, and while their survival is a matter of luck at times, their unity is what will carry them through. The group begins to trust each other more deeply, understanding that their survival depends not just on individual strength, but on the strength of the group as a whole. As they continue their trek, they come upon another warren, but this one is different from the one they left behind. It's a warren unlike anything they've encountered before, a place that seems full of strange energy and unfamiliar rules. The rabbits are hesitant at first, unsure of whether to approach or avoid the place entirely. They decide to take a cautious approach, observing the warren from a distance. The warren, it turns out, is home to a strange and intimidating group of rabbits who seem to live by their own set of harsh rules. These rabbits are led by a figure named General Woundwort, a fierce and militaristic rabbit who believes in survival at any cost. The rabbits in this warren are not like the gentle creatures of Hazel's old home. They are hardened, ruthless, and driven by an unyielding need to conquer and control. In contrast to Hazel's thoughtful leadership, General Woundwort's approach is one of force and dominance. The rabbits are taught to fight, to conquer, and to accept that survival comes at the expense of others. Hazel watches with growing concern as the general's methods become apparent. While Woundwort's warren is powerful and well organized, it is also driven by fear and the desire to dominate. Hazel understands that while strength is important, true leadership comes from empathy and trust, qualities that are sorely lacking in this new warren. This realization gives Hazel and his group further resolve. They cannot afford to become like these rabbits, who sacrifice their freedom for power. They must continue their search for a place where they can live on their own terms, free from the oppressive rule of others. As the chapter closes, the rabbits find themselves at a crossroads, caught between the dangers of the wild and the threats posed by other warring factions. But Hazel, ever the optimist, remains convinced that their journey has a purpose. Though the road ahead is fraught with obstacles and challenges, Hazel's determination and the bonds of trust within the group give them the strength to press on. The group's journey continues, and the tension within the group grows as the landscape becomes more dangerous. Hazel and his companions find themselves increasingly challenged by the environment, with unfamiliar terrain and threats lurking in every direction. The sense of urgency is palpable now, as they must find a safe place to settle. But the more they travel, the more they realize that survival is not simply about finding food or shelter. It's about navigating an ever more hostile world, full of unpredictability and hidden dangers. Their immediate challenge arises as they pass through a vast, open field, a place that seems deceptively peaceful. The sun shines brightly, and the air is still. Yet beneath this calm surface, the rabbits sense an ominous presence. They know that in open spaces like this, they are vulnerable to predators. At any moment, danger could strike, and there is nowhere to hide. As the group moves cautiously through the field, their senses are heightened, every rustling leaf and fluttering bird making them more nervous. The beauty of the landscape contrasts sharply with the harsh reality of their situation. Though the grass is tall and inviting, it does not offer the protection of the dense thickets and hedgerows that they are used to. It is in this moment of vulnerability that the rabbits encounter a new threat, a large dog, seemingly out of nowhere, charging toward them. The dog's appearance catches them by surprise, and they scatter in all directions, their hearts racing with fear. The dog, determined and aggressive, closes in on them, but Bigwig, ever the fighter, takes the lead. He orders the others to flee while he tries to hold the dog off. Hazel, who had come to rely on Bigwig's strength, watches in horror as the dog lunges, its jaws snapping dangerously close to Bigwig. It's a heart-stopping moment, and for a brief time, it looks as if Bigwig might not make it. But through a mix of sheer strength and quick thinking, Bigwig manages to escape, though not without injury. The dog, realizing the rabbits have managed to escape, retreats, leaving the group to lick their wounds and process the narrow escape. Bigwig's injury, though not severe, becomes a symbol of the danger that surrounds them. The group is left shaken, and though they have survived this encounter, they know that more challenges lie ahead. They cannot afford to take their safety for granted. They are no longer in a warren where they can rest and regroup whenever needed. They are on the move, and every day brings new threats. In the aftermath of the attack, Hazel realizes the weight of his responsibility as a leader. Though Bigwig is strong and capable, Hazel knows that leadership requires more than physical strength. It demands wisdom, empathy, and the ability to make difficult decisions. His thoughts return to Fiver, whose vision had sparked this entire journey. Fiver's warnings, though seemingly extreme at times, had proven to be prescient. Hazel has become increasingly aware that the fate of the entire group rests on his shoulders, and the pressure of that responsibility is not lost on him. As they continue to move forward, the group enters a new and entirely unfamiliar region, a dense, dark forest. This place feels different from anything they've encountered so far. It is eerily silent, with only the sound of their paws on the soft earth beneath them. The trees seem to stretch endlessly into the sky, their branches intertwining above to create a canopy so thick that only small patches of sunlight make their way through. The air feels damp and heavy, and the rabbits are immediately on edge. The dense underbrush makes it difficult to navigate, and they are forced to move carefully, avoiding thorny bushes and dense vines that could easily ensnare them. The group is not alone in this forest. They encounter another warren, but this one is unlike anything they have seen before. The rabbits here are different, older, more experienced, and far more territorial. Their leader, a powerful and assertive rabbit named General Woundwort, is a figure who embodies everything that Hazel fears. Woundwort's warren is one of strict discipline, and his leadership is one of control and strength. His attitude toward other rabbits is harsh, demanding loyalty and obedience. The contrast between Hazel's style of leadership and Woundwort's could not be more stark. While Hazel values cooperation and trust, Woundwort believes in strength at any cost, viewing weakness as something to be punished rather than understood. Hazel and the others are immediately put on alert. They can sense the danger in the air. Woundwort's warren is not a place where they can hope to settle, and the thought of staying here is quickly dismissed. The group, led by Hazel's calm but firm direction, knows that they must keep moving, no matter the cost. This encounter serves as a reminder of the very real dangers of the outside world and the importance of remaining vigilant. Hazel, who had initially questioned his ability to lead, now feels a renewed sense of purpose. The encounter with Woundwort highlights the importance of the values he has instilled in the group. He may not have the military discipline of Woundwort, but he understands that leadership is about more than brute force. It's about the willingness to make difficult choices and stand by them. Hazel realizes that the journey is not just a physical one, it is also a test of their moral and emotional strength. The rabbits continue to make their way through the forest, always moving, always searching for the right place to settle. Though the journey is grueling, there are moments of respite. Along the way, they encounter a variety of animals, some of whom offer help, and others who represent new challenges. The land is vast and full of life, both beautiful and terrifying. Hazel begins to understand that this journey, though fraught with difficulty, is also an opportunity to learn about the world, about his companions, and about himself. The tension between the rabbits becomes more apparent as well. Though they have grown closer over time, the journey is starting to take its toll. Fiver's anxious nature continues to wear on the group's nerves, and Bigwig's temper flares in moments of stress. The dynamic among them shifts, and it becomes clear that their survival depends not only on external threats, but on the strength of their internal bonds. Hazel is beginning to realize that their journey is more than just about finding a new home. It is about proving to themselves that they can survive and thrive, no matter the odds. As the chapter comes to a close, the group faces yet another obstacle, a perilous stretch of land that seems impossible to cross. They stand at crossroads, unsure of which path to take. The weight of their journey presses heavily on them, and Hazel knows that the next decision could be the one that defines their fate. Despite the uncertainty, Hazel's resolve remains unwavering. He understands that they cannot afford to stop now. They must continue moving forward, no matter the challenges they face. The journey may be long, but Hazel's determination to protect his friends and find them a safe place keeps them going. As the group continues its journey, they face both external threats and internal struggles. Their trek through the dense forest leads them into increasingly unfamiliar territory, each new area presenting a set of challenges that push their limits. The rabbits are growing weary, physically exhausted from the constant movement, and mentally taxed by the dangers lurking around every corner. But amidst this turmoil, the group's resolve begins to harden. They understand that they must press on, no matter the cost. Hazel's leadership is more critical now than ever before. He knows that the group's survival hinges on their ability to stay united and focused, but the tension between the rabbits is palpable. Bigwig, still recovering from his earlier injury, is restless. He longs for action, his spirit too wild to be tamed by the careful strategies Hazel has been employing. Bigwig is a fighter, a soldier at heart, and his frustration is growing. He feels the weight of their continued flight, and with each day, he becomes more irritable. Hazel, ever patient, understands Bigwig's need for a sense of purpose, but knows that rash decisions could put them all in jeopardy. At the same time, Fiver's constant sense of dread has started to unsettle the others. While his visions and warnings have proved to be valuable in the past, his pessimism begins to fray the nerves of the group. The rabbits can't help but feel as though they are always walking in the shadow of something terrible, even if they aren't sure what it is. His fears have become almost contagious, infecting the group with an ever-present sense of foreboding. It becomes clear that Hazel must not only manage the external threats they face, but also keep the emotional state of his companions in check. The journey brings a new encounter, a fleeting but memorable moment of hope. As they pass through a meadow, they catch sight of a beautiful, serene stream, a moment of peace amidst their perilous travels. For a brief moment, the rabbits are allowed to stop and drink, taking a break from their constant vigilance. The fresh water is a welcome relief, and for a moment, it feels as though they've found a safe haven. But this tranquility is short-lived. The group soon hears the distant sound of rustling leaves, and the rabbits instinctively grow still, their senses heightened once more. The stream, while offering a much-needed respite, also serves as a reminder that their journey is not without its dangers. The world around them is full of beauty, but it is also full of peril. In the distance, the rabbits notice something that immediately catches their attention. A hawk perched high on a tree, its sharp eyes scanning the ground below. The sight of the bird immediately sends a wave of anxiety through the group. A hawk is a natural predator of rabbits, and though the group is still several hundred yards away, they cannot afford to take any chances. The hawk's presence is a reminder of the fragile balance they exist in. Every peaceful moment could be swiftly interrupted by danger. The tension rises as the rabbits prepare to leave the safety of the stream, knowing that they cannot linger here too long. Bigwig, still eager for action, urges the group to move faster, but Hazel remains calm. He reminds the others that rushing could lead to mistakes, and it is their calculated decisions that have kept them safe thus far. Hazel's calm demeanor contrasts with Bigwig's more impulsive nature, but it is Hazel's wisdom that keeps them grounded. The hawk, a silent but deadly presence, forces them to move quietly and carefully, with every rustle of the wind feeling like a threat. As they move on, the threat of the hawk fades, but the group knows that it is always there, lurking in the back of their minds. As they continue their journey, the group is forced to navigate through increasingly difficult terrain. The landscape grows more rugged, with steep hills and treacherous ravines that slow their progress. The rabbits' exhaustion is becoming evident, and their pace has slowed considerably. Hazel is concerned about the well-being of the group. He knows that they cannot continue at this rate for much longer. The constant tension, the fear of predators, and the physical strain of their journey are wearing them down. But despite this, Hazel remains determined. He has seen how far they have come, how they have survived against the odds, and he believes that they can make it to their destination if they stick together. Amidst this growing fatigue, the group comes across something unexpected, a wide open field, stretching as far as the eye can see. The sight of it is both relieving and terrifying. It offers the possibility of escape, but it also presents new risks. The open land offers little cover, and it leaves them exposed to predators. The rabbits hesitate, unsure whether to cross it or seek shelter elsewhere. For a moment, the uncertainty is almost paralyzing. Hazel knows that they must decide quickly, or they risk being trapped between the open field and the dangers of the surrounding forest. With a sense of urgency, Hazel makes the call to cross the field. He believes that their chances of survival are greater if they take the risk and move quickly. The group moves as one, staying low to the ground and covering as much distance as possible before nightfall. As they move through the field, the sound of their hearts pounding in their chests becomes deafening. The vastness of the land around them is both beautiful and intimidating. The sky above is vast and endless, but the horizon feels like it could close in at any moment. The feeling of vulnerability is overwhelming, but they push forward, knowing that they have no choice but to keep going. Their journey is not without further obstacles. As they near the end of the field, they encounter another group of rabbits, this time a more civilized warren with a different way of life. This warren, known as a fraffa, is led by the formidable General Woundwort, a rabbit whose reputation for strength and ruthlessness precedes him. The warren is unlike anything Hazel and his group have encountered before. It is a place of order, but also of strict discipline and control. Woundwort's leadership is harsh, and his demands for obedience are absolute. The encounter with this new warren is both a moment of caution and revelation for Hazel. He realizes that the world outside their own small group is full of danger and complexity, and that the rabbits must rely on each other more than ever before if they are to survive. The rabbits, now deep into their journey, face the increasing weight of their circumstances as they push forward. The long trek has begun to take its toll, and exhaustion, both physical and emotional, weighs heavily on the group. While they move through unfamiliar lands, the rabbits must also deal with the growing tensions between them. As the group continues its perilous path, there are moments of doubt, frustration, and fear, but there are also moments of courage, resilience, and hope. The delicate balance between these forces determines whether they can keep moving forward. One of the greatest challenges for Hazel lies in his ability to maintain order among the group, especially with Bigwig's temper flaring more frequently. Bigwig, ever the warrior, has a deep sense of pride in his strength, but his impatience has started to become a liability. He is frustrated with the slow pace and the constant need to hide from predators, feeling that they should be able to face dangers head-on instead of avoiding them. His earlier injury still nags at him, and it's clear that Bigwig longs for something more meaningful than just survival. He wants a battle, a cause, something to fight for. Hazel understands his frustration, but he also knows that Bigwig's impulsive nature could undo all of their hard work if not kept in check. On the other hand, Fiver's sense of impending doom continues to haunt the group. His warnings, though often dismissed, have come true on more than one occasion, and his anxiety has begun to gnaw at the others. While Hazel does his best to reassure his brother, he cannot completely quell Fiver's fears. The tension between hope and despair is ever present, and the threat of something unknown, something terrible, lingers at the edge of the rabbit's awareness. It is in these moments of fear and doubt that Hazel's leadership is tested most severely. He has to calm the anxieties of the group, reassuring them that their journey, while fraught with challenges, is still one worth pursuing. As they continue on, the terrain grows even more hostile. The land around them is barren, rocky, and filled with pitfalls, forcing them to move carefully and avoid the risks that come with hasty decisions. They stumble upon a field full of tall grasses, offering some respite in terms of concealment, but also creating a sense of claustrophobia. It's hard to see what lies beyond the tall stalks, and the rabbits are cautious of the hidden dangers that could be lurking. This is a world of contrasts, moments of potential safety, followed by the ever-present risk of predators or sudden dangers. Hazel is constantly evaluating every move, knowing that a wrong turn could lead them into the jaws of death. It's clear that their chances of survival are tied not only to their physical strength, but to their mental resilience. Each decision they make feels like it could be their last. Yet Hazel maintains his calm, trying to reassure the group. His leadership is becoming increasingly vital in these moments of doubt, as the rabbits' faith in him has solidified, and they look to him for guidance in the face of an uncertain world. The rest of the group, though weary, slowly begins to see the value of Hazel's strategy. They are learning to trust in the delicate balance between caution and action. Bigwig, though still restless, starts to understand the necessity of working together and biding his time. His explosive energy finds a purpose in the group's efforts to stay united. He no longer seeks to challenge Hazel's leadership outright, though his fiery spirit, remains an important asset to the group. Even Fiver, who often doubts their chances, becomes more receptive to the idea that survival might not just be a matter of running from danger, but of facing it together. Eventually, they come upon a hill overlooking a distant warren. The sight of it stirs a mixture of emotions within the group. There is hope, for it appears to be a place where they can rest, but there is also fear. What if this warren is already occupied by another group of rabbits? What if the warren is controlled by a powerful enemy? These questions linger in the minds of the travelers as they look toward the distant land. Hazel, ever the strategist, knows that this warren may be their salvation or their doom. The decision is a difficult one. Do they take the risk and approach, or do they continue on in search of a safer haven? The thought of having a place to rest and find some semblance of security is tempting, but Hazel remains cautious. He understands that their current state, tired, vulnerable, and wary, might make them easy targets for any group with ill intentions. It is a decision fraught with danger, but they move forward with the same mixture of resolve and uncertainty that has carried them this far. As they approach the warren, they must decide how to approach the residents and what their intentions will be. The unknown looms large, and the rabbits are acutely aware that one wrong step could lead to disaster. But even as the looming threat of the unknown weighs heavily on them, the rabbits also begin to realize something important. The journey has changed them. They have faced countless obstacles, fought off predators, and navigated an unfamiliar world. They have learned not only the value of leadership and unity, but also the importance of understanding their own limits. The struggles they have faced have brought them closer together, and they now share a bond that runs deeper than mere survival. They are no longer just a group of frightened rabbits running from danger. They are a community bound by shared experience, trust, and determination. As they draw closer to the warren, the decision of whether to enter or turn back is an excruciating one. The stakes are higher than ever, and the group feels the weight of every choice they make. Hazel, as always, stands at the center of the group's decision-making, the calm presence guiding them through the storm of uncertainty. He knows that their survival depends not just on finding food or shelter, but on making choices that preserve the spirit of what they have fought so hard to build, a community of rabbits, united in their quest for safety, freedom, and a better life. Their journey, though far from over, has already taught them invaluable lessons. Whether they find a new home or face more dangers, they will face it together, knowing that their bond is their greatest strength. The future remains uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, the rabbits feel a sense of hope, not for an easy life, but for a life worth fighting for. As the rabbits draw closer to the mysterious warren, their hopes begin to shift between cautious optimism and a gnawing uncertainty. The journey has already taken its toll, and the group is weary. With their collective spirit tested by the relentless demands of survival, the prospect of finding a new home, a safe haven where they can rest and rebuild, is enticing. Yet, they are still plagued by the question, what if this warren holds more dangers than safety? Hazel, ever the strategist, remains cautious, aware that this may be a pivotal moment for their group, one that could determine their fate. The warren comes into view, more sprawling and larger than anything they had hoped for. The burrows appear to be well established, but Hazel knows they cannot let their guard down just yet. From a distance, it seems empty, But appearances can be deceiving. What if the warren is home to an aggressive group of rabbits or predators lurking nearby? The group's fatigue intensifies their sense of vulnerability. They are physically drained, mentally stretched thin, and constantly battling the overwhelming urge to rest. But Hazel understands that the moment they let their vigilance slip, they may find themselves facing more danger than they can handle. As they make their approach, the rabbits gather together, quietly discussing their options. Bigwig, still carrying his pride and impatience, advocates for making a bold move, suggesting that they assert themselves and take control of the warren. His reasoning is rooted in his warrior's mindset. He believes they must assert their strength and claim what they need, rather than wait for an opportunity to be handed to them. Hazel, however, tempers Bigwig's enthusiasm, knowing that their current state makes them vulnerable. They cannot afford to take unnecessary risks when their survival is at stake. The decision, though difficult, must be made with patience and caution. Fiver's sense of dread has not wavered. In fact, it has grown more intense. Every step toward the warren only seems to deepen his foreboding, and his fears begin to infect the others. While Hazel works to calm him, Fiver's anxiety proves difficult to shake. His worry is that the warren is too quiet, too perfect. In Fiver's mind, this silence is a harbinger of disaster, a warning that something dark is lurking beneath the surface. While the others continue their cautious approach, Fiver's sense of impending doom festers. His warning, though exaggerated, does not go entirely unheeded. The group pauses just before they reach the entrance, looking toward the warren with mixed emotions. They are so close to what they've been fighting for, yet there is an overwhelming sense that they are on the precipice of something unknown, a threshold that, once crossed, cannot be undone. The silence around them is deafening, and it feels as though the earth itself is holding its breath. For Hazel, this moment is critical. He must guide his group not just through the external dangers they face, but through the internal tensions that threaten to splinter them. The decision to enter this warren is fraught with consequence. It represents both hope and fear, opportunity and risk. As they draw near, a soft rustling is heard from within. It is enough to send a ripple of apprehension through the group as they prepare for whatever may come next. The entrance to the warren is guarded by a few rabbits, who appear somewhat wary, but not immediately hostile. It is a tense standoff, neither side fully trusting the other. After a moment of heavy silence, Hazel steps forward, his voice steady and calm, offering the first words of greeting. He speaks of their journey, their struggles, and their desperate need for refuge. It is not a plea, but an offer of peace, and in his eyes, there is an earnest desire to understand and cooperate with whatever community inhabits this place. To their surprise, the rabbits at the entrance do not immediately reject them. Instead, they exchange looks and murmur to each other, as though considering Hazel's words carefully. Finally, one of the rabbits, a larger figure who appears to hold some authority, steps forward. His name is Cowslip, and his demeanor is one of guarded curiosity. He acknowledges their exhaustion and invites them into the warren, but with the caveat that they must abide by the rules set by the residents. Hazel, though wary, agrees to the terms, hoping that this will be the respite they so desperately need. Inside the warren, the group is led through a maze of tunnels and chambers, many of which are clearly well maintained and comfortable. There are signs of a settled, organized society, fresh bedding, carefully dug passages, and an abundance of food. For a moment, it feels almost too good to be true. The rabbits begin to relax, their tension easing as they find themselves in a place of relative safety. It is a stark contrast to the barren lands they have traversed, a reminder of the comforts they've longed for since their journey began. However, the ease with which they are accepted into the warren does not sit well with Hazel. It is almost too smooth, too accommodating. There are no questions about their origins, no cautionary measures to ensure they are not a threat. Everything is offered freely: food, shelter, and warmth. While the others begin to settle in and partake in the comforts of the warren, Hazel's unease grows. He watches Cowslip and the other residents with a growing suspicion. The welcoming atmosphere feels somewhat forced, as though they are being ushered into something that is not quite as innocent as it seems. As the rabbits are shown to a communal chamber, they begin to mingle with the other inhabitants. The atmosphere is strange, calm, but there is an underlying tension in the air. It is clear that the residents of the warren are not like any rabbits Hazel has encountered before. They are quieter, more distant, and their conversations lack the warmth of the community he has sought to build with his own group. There is something off about the way they interact, something that doesn't quite align with Hazel's expectations of what a warren should be. Hazel keeps his guard up, watching closely, and it is in these moments of observation that he begins to sense that something darker is at play. There is no hostility, but there is an eerie sense of detachment. The food is abundant, but the atmosphere is not one of genuine hospitality. It's as though the warren is a facade, comfortable on the surface, but hiding something deeper beneath. Hazel's instinct tells him that they are not yet safe, but whether his suspicions are justified or not remains to be seen. For now, they must rest, but Hazel knows they cannot afford to let their guard down entirely. The future of the rabbits and their journey depends on their ability to navigate this strange new world and the secrets it holds. Whether they are simply guests or potential prey remains uncertain. And as the night draws near, the unsettling quiet of the warren serves as a reminder that the greatest dangers are often those that are hidden in plain sight. As the days pass, the rabbits begin to settle into the warren, yet the uneasy feeling that had lingered from the moment of their arrival only intensifies. For Hazel, the rest and food they have found should be a blessing, but instead, it feels like a temporary reprieve from a greater threat. While the others are eager to relax and take advantage of the comforts this warren offers, Hazel remains vigilant, constantly aware of the tension in the air. Cowslip, the leader of the warren, has been a curious figure, offering them hospitality, but always keeping a certain distance. His manner is polite but distant, and while he makes sure they have everything they need, there is something about his behavior that doesn't sit right with Hazel. There is no warmth in his smile, no real friendliness in his eyes. It's as if he is merely going through the motions of kindness, as if it's a performance rather than an expression of genuine care. The other rabbits in the warren seem similarly detached, as though they have lived in a state of quiet resignation for so long that they no longer know how to truly engage with each other. The conversations around them are lacking in depth, and even the social interactions seem forced. It's a place where routine and silence dominate, and the vibrant energy that Hazel had hoped to find here feels like it's been stripped away, leaving behind only a shell of what should have been a true community. Bigwig, still recovering from his wounds and the exhaustion of the journey, is more than content to rest and recover. He enjoys the abundance of food and the relative comfort the warren provides, and he seems to grow more relaxed by the day. But his easy acceptance of the warren's hospitality stands in stark contrast to Hazel's growing discomfort. Bigwig believes that the warren is a refuge, that they have found a place where they can finally rest and rebuild. But Hazel can't shake the feeling that something is terribly wrong. Fiver, too, remains on edge, though his unease is more pronounced. His nightmares have become more frequent, his visions more disturbing. He speaks of shadows moving in the corners of his mind, of whispers that he can't place, but no one seems to understand him. His warnings grow more desperate, but Hazel, though sympathetic, is conflicted. He wants to believe that Fiver's fears are nothing more than the result of the long journey and the strain of their escape. But deep down, Hazel knows that Fiver's instincts have been right before. When Fiver senses danger, there is always a kernel of truth to his fears. Despite the constant undercurrent of tension, Hazel tries to focus on the present moment. He encourages the others to enjoy the respite they've been given, to rest their weary bodies and minds. But his own thoughts remain clouded with uncertainty. He cannot shake the feeling that Cowslip and the other rabbits are hiding something, that there is more to this warren than meets the eye. The food is plentiful, the burrows are spacious, and everything seems perfect on the surface, but Hazel knows better than to trust appearances. In his experience, things that seem too good to be true often are. One evening, as the group settles in for the night, Hazel decides to take a walk through the warren, hoping to clear his mind and perhaps find some answers. As he wanders deeper into the maze of tunnels, he notices something strange. The further he moves from the central areas of the warren, the quieter it becomes. The atmosphere shifts, and a cold, oppressive silence fills the air. It's as if the very walls of the warren are closing in on him, pressing against his thoughts. There are no sounds of rabbits conversing, no rustling of bedding or scratching of claws. It feels abandoned, forgotten. Hazel turns a corner and finds himself at a small, dark chamber, one that seems isolated from the rest of the warren. The air is musty, heavy with the scent of earth and old straw. The floor is littered with bits of broken leaves and gnawed twigs, and the walls are scuffed, as if they've been scratched by anxious paws. There's no sign of any other rabbits here, no evidence of life. Yet, the space feels unsettling, like it has been left in haste, abandoned in a moment of desperation. It's not a room that should exist in a warren that prides itself on its organization and comfort. His heart beats faster as he realizes that something is amiss, something is hidden in plain sight. This chamber, small and unremarkable though it may seem, feels like a crack in the facade of the warren, a glimpse into a truth that no one wants to confront. For a moment, he considers turning back, but his instincts push him forward. He has to know what lies within this hidden corner, what secrets the warren is keeping. Hazel steps into the room, and as his eyes adjust to the dim light, he sees something that sends a chill through his spine. In the corner of the chamber, there is a small, decayed pile of rabbit bones. It's not a natural accumulation of the remains of rabbits who have passed on. It's a gruesome testament to something darker. The bones are not scattered in the way they would be if a rabbit had simply died of old age or disease. They are broken, fractured, and some are even chewed upon, as though someone had taken deliberate actions to break them apart. Hazel steps back, his mind racing. The implications of what he's found are too much to process in a single moment. He knows that the residents of the Warren have a history, a past that they've buried, hidden beneath the surface. The peaceful atmosphere they present is a veneer, a mask they wear to hide the darker reality beneath. He begins to understand that Cowslip and the others are not just a strange, detached group. They are hiding something horrific, something that may be linked to the very survival of their Warren. Hazel feels his chest tighten with the weight of this realization. The Warren is not a refuge, it's a trap, and they've walked right into it. There is no comfort here, no safety. The Warren's inhabitants are not simply a curious community, they are survivors, but survivors of something terrible. The dark truth that has been buried in this chamber is the heart of their existence, and Hazel now realizes that they have unknowingly stumbled upon it. His thoughts are interrupted by the sound of footsteps behind him. He spins around, his heart racing, but it's only Fiver. The younger rabbit's face is pale, his eyes wide with fear, and he doesn't speak. Instead, he looks at the pile of bones with an expression of grim recognition. Hazel knows that Fiver has seen the same thing he has, and the realization settles in between them like an unspoken pact. They cannot stay here. Not anymore. The Warren's secret is out, and it is far more dangerous than either of them could have imagined. The rest of the group must be warned. But as they turn to leave the chamber, Hazel knows that escaping this Warren won't be as simple as walking back to the burrows. The true battle for survival is only just beginning. The tension within the Warren now feels palpable, suffocating, as Hazel and Fiver return to the group, each carrying the burden of the dark discovery they had made. The others, still basking in the false security of their seemingly safe haven, fail to notice the growing unease among the two rabbits. Hazel's mind is racing, every possible scenario playing out in his thoughts. There is no time to waste. He must act before they are trapped here for good. But the question that lingers is how. How can they convince the others to leave? How can they escape a place that seems so secure, even as its foundations crack beneath their feet? The group is still adjusting to their new environment. Bigwig, despite his previous hesitations, has embraced the comforts of the Warren. He's even begun to take on a more prominent role among the others, often boasting about the food and ease of their existence. His confidence is contagious, and the younger rabbits, like Pipkin, have begun to look to him for reassurance, clinging to the idea that they've found a place of rest after the horrors of their journey. But Hazel sees things differently. He knows that this peace is nothing more than a facade, and it's fragile, ready to crumble at the slightest touch. Fiver's presence in the group grows even more significant now. His warnings, always spoken softly but with urgency, have finally been acknowledged by Hazel, and the two of them share an unspoken understanding that they must escape. But Fiver's fears are not just limited to the bones they found in the chamber. He has seen something deeper, something insidious lurking within the Warren's walls, something he cannot fully describe, but that he feels in every fiber of his being. It's an oppressive force, and it only intensifies when he's near the center of the Warren, where Cowslip's authority feels absolute. Cowslip, too, remains an enigmatic figure, charming on the surface but distant, as if keeping an invisible barrier between himself and the others. It is in the dead of night when Hazel makes the decision to speak up. He gathers the group together, carefully avoiding the prying eyes of Cowslip and his followers, and, with a quiet but firm voice, begins to voice his suspicions. "Something isn't right here," he says, his words cutting through the silence of the burrow. "We can't ignore it any longer." Bigwig, though initially skeptical, listens intently, his expression turning serious as Hazel continues. "Fiver and I have seen things that don't add up. The bones, the silence, the way the others act. There's something off about this warren, and I believe we're in danger." His words hang in the air, heavy with the weight of truth. The other rabbits shift uncomfortably, unsure of how to respond. Pipkin's ears flatten against his head, a nervous glance exchanged between him and the others. It's clear that none of them have had the courage to voice their doubts, but now that Hazel has opened the conversation, it feels as though the dam has broken. The mood in the group shifts. It's as if they're beginning to wake from a long, dangerous dream. Some of them, like Dandelion, seem more open to the idea of leaving, while others, such as Blackberry, remain wary. They've only just found a place to rest, a place that's safe, and the idea of leaving it behind fills them with dread. But Hazel presses on, urging them to trust their instincts, just as they had when they first fled the destruction of their old warren. "The safety we've found here is an illusion," Hazel continues. "What's waiting for us outside, no matter how dangerous it may be, is far better than what we'll face if we stay. We've seen the truth, and now we must act." Bigwig, who had been quiet up until now, looks around the group, his strong gaze focused on Hazel. It's not an easy thing to accept, especially after the hardships they've endured, but he knows that Hazel speaks with conviction, and his instincts tell him that the time has come to listen. The former warrior, who had once fought for his life and the lives of others, begins to feel a stirring within him, the old fire rekindling. He nods, slowly at first, and then with more certainty adds, "I trust you, Hazel. If you say it's time to go, then we'll go. But we need to move fast. I've seen how those in charge here control things. They won't let us leave easily." The decision is made, and the group begins to prepare for their departure. The fear of the unknown is evident in their eyes, but it's overshadowed by the grim certainty that staying in this warren will bring nothing but further suffering. They begin to gather their things quietly, each of them preparing to leave behind the comforts they had grown accustomed to. The warmth of the warren, the abundance of food, the fleeting safety of false peace. In the silence of the night, they make their way to the outer edges of the warren, trying not to draw attention to their movements. Cowslip, however, is not far behind. His watchful eyes have noticed the growing unease among the group, and although he has said little, there is a sense of unease between them all. He seems to know that something is happening, and his presence becomes a shadow in the background, a reminder that their departure will not go unnoticed. Hazel's heart beats faster as he realizes that the warren's leadership will not allow them to leave so easily. Just as they near the edge of the warren, they are confronted by Cowslip and a few of his closest followers. The rabbits are silent, their eyes hard and unreadable. "Where are you going?" Cowslip asks, his voice calm but laced with an underlying tension. "We're leaving," Hazel responds firmly, his voice steady despite the rising anxiety inside him. "We We've seen enough." Cowslip's smile is thin, almost pitying. "You misunderstand, Hazel. There's no need to go. Everything you need is here. You can stay. Stay with us." But Hazel knows better. The words are a trap, and the offer is empty. The safety, the comfort, the peace, all of it is a lie, a lure to keep them in place. The tension between the two groups is palpable, each side understanding the other's intentions without needing to speak further. It's clear now that leaving will not be easy. The Warrens' true nature is exposed, and Hazel realizes that this is just the beginning of a far greater struggle, one that will test the strength, courage, and determination of every rabbit who chooses to leave the false peace behind. They've already walked into the trap, but now they must find a way to escape it, no matter the cost. The night drags on as Hazel and the others edge closer to their decision, the air around them thick with uncertainty and anticipation. The confrontation with Cowslip and his followers was not unexpected, but its consequences weigh heavily on them all. The group has reached a crossroads. They have seen the truth of the Warren and felt the oppressive grip of Cowslip's rule, but the path ahead is not clear. For all the threats they face, the outside world, with all its dangers, is still better than the false safety of the Warren. But escape is no simple matter. They cannot just slip away unnoticed. The moment they make any attempt to leave, they will be hunted. The tranquil Warren, with its abundance of food and warmth, is like a gilded cage, and they are its unwilling prisoners. There's a bitter irony in it. The very things that have kept them alive, the things they've fought so hard for, are now the tools of their confinement. And yet, in the pit of their stomachs, they know there is no other choice. They have to go. As they prepare to move, the reality of what lies ahead begins to settle in. The landscape outside the Warren is harsh, unforgiving. They remember the treacherous journey to reach this place, how they were stalked by predators, how they fought through hunger and fatigue. The world is full of dangers, and the thought of going back out into it feels overwhelming. But there is a stark clarity in their minds now. Staying behind within these walls means death, slow, inevitable, and unseen. The group must escape, no matter the cost. Hazel, ever the leader, takes charge, quietly coordinating with the others. His voice is calm, but it carries the weight of all the lives in the group. He reassures them, each one individually, that they have made the right decision, that they are not alone in this. His role as the group's protector has never felt more significant. He knows that his leadership is what keeps them moving forward. It is not just a matter of physical escape, but a fight for their very souls, their hope. Fiver, as always, is haunted by the visions he sees. The weight of his premonitions seems to press down on him even more as they prepare to leave. The sense of dread that he feels doesn't just come from the Warren, it comes from the very earth itself. He senses danger, something ominous in the air, and though he cannot put it into words, his every instinct screams that time is running out. His fears are not simply about being caught by Cowslip and his followers. They go deeper, into the very fabric of the world around them. It's as if the land itself is conspiring against them, as if it knows their departure will tip the balance of things. But Fiver's warnings are not lost on Hazel. He understands the depth of his brother's fears, even if he cannot fully grasp the source of them. Hazel looks at Fiver, their eyes meeting in a wordless exchange. He knows that the younger rabbit is not just frightened for his own safety, but for the entire group. And it is this shared bond, this unspoken understanding that strengthens Hazel's resolve. They must press on, no matter what lies ahead. The decision to move forward is not one that all of the rabbits are eager to make. Pipkin, ever the anxious one, trembles with fear. The thought of braving the wild again, after everything they have already endured, is nearly too much for him to bear. He clings to the hope that the warren, despite its flaws, might offer some semblance of safety. But his eyes are drawn to Hazel's calm demeanor, the quiet strength in his leader's words. And though he is scared, he knows that Hazel is right. They cannot remain trapped. The journey ahead will not be an easy one. They must navigate the treacherous terrain, avoiding predators, and most of all, staying hidden from Cowslip and his followers. The risks are enormous. Bigwig, ever the fighter, takes on the responsibility of scouting ahead, ensuring the path is clear. His strength and loyalty to Hazel are evident in every action. But there is a quiet pain behind his eyes, a realization that they are about to leave behind something they had fought so hard to find, a place that seemed, if only for a moment, like home. He pushes that thought aside, knowing that there can be no home for them in a place built on lies. The group moves cautiously, slipping through the shadows of the warren, careful not to attract attention. Their movements are slow and deliberate, each rabbit looking out for the others. The darkness outside is both a comfort and a curse. On the one hand, it offers concealment, protection. But on the other, it obscures the dangers that lie ahead. They know that at any moment, they could encounter one of the many predators that roam the land. The very air feels thick with the weight of their decision, the fear of the unknown gnawing at their insides. As they reach the outskirts of the warren, they pause for a moment, looking back at the place they had come to see as a temporary refuge. The large, burrowed-out hillsides, the soft, warm earth beneath their feet, and the rustling sound of the leaves in the distance. It all seems so peaceful, so secure. And yet, Hazel knows that this peace is a lie, a fleeting illusion. They have no choice but to leave it behind. They cannot afford to stay any longer. And then, just as they are about to leave the final stretch of warren, the first sign of trouble appears. A rustling noise echoes in the distance, soft but unmistakable. Hazel's ears twitch as he turns toward the sound. He signals for the group to halt, and for a few moments, everything is still. But the noise grows louder. Someone or something is coming. The tension in the group is palpable, every rabbit holding its breath, waiting for the danger to reveal itself. The first light of dawn begins to break over the horizon, casting long shadows across the land. This is no longer the safe, sheltered place they had once hoped for. This is the beginning of the real fight, the struggle for survival that will determine whether they live or die. The time for hesitating is over. Hazel stands at the edge of the warren, his gaze fixed on the dark figures moving toward them. The rabbits must face whatever comes together. The stakes are higher than ever, and there is no turning back. This is the moment they have been preparing for, the moment they must prove that they are not just survivors, but warriors willing to fight for freedom, no matter the cost. As the rabbits press forward, their journey takes on a new sense of purpose. The harshness of the world outside the warren is no longer just a looming threat. It has become their reality. The ground beneath them is unforgiving, the sky above vast and unyielding. Every rustling leaf and shadow is a potential danger, but also a reminder of their resilience. Their escape from the warren is only the beginning of a larger battle for survival. Hazel's mind is heavy with the weight of leadership, but there's a quiet strength in his resolve. He has always been the one to hold the group together, to make difficult decisions. But now the burden feels particularly heavy. The world they've entered is not one of comfort or false security. It is raw, wild, and unpredictable. Yet, in the face of such uncertainty, Hazel feels an unwavering sense of responsibility toward his companions. They are more than just fellow rabbits, they are family. And it is this sense of unity, of shared purpose, that drives him forward. The journey is far from easy. The land is treacherous, filled with hazards at every turn. The group must navigate through dense bramble patches, across fast-flowing streams, and over steep hills. They move silently, cautious of the predators that stalk the underbrush and the open skies above. But the more they travel, the more they realize the importance of their mission. The idea of reaching a place where they can live freely, where they can build their own warren and live without fear, is a beacon that keeps them moving forward. Bigwig, ever the protector, takes on the task of scouting ahead, ensuring that the path is safe for the others. His role in the group has evolved since the escape from the warren. He is no longer just the fighter. He is a leader in his own right, someone who has learned the value of patience and strategy. His strength is an asset, but it is his loyalty and determination that have made him indispensable to Hazel. Bigwig's heart is as heavy as Hazel's, knowing the risks they face. Yet with every step, he is more convinced that they are doing the right thing. They cannot return to Cowslip's warren, to the false peace they once believed in. They must forge their own path. Fiver, the visionary, continues to be a source of both insight and worry. His premonitions are becoming more frequent and intense, the weight of his visions pressing down on him. He cannot explain why he feels this deep sense of dread, but it is undeniable. He has seen things that others cannot, things that do not make sense. But Hazel has come to trust his brother's instincts. They have led them this far, and Fiver's warnings are never to be taken lightly. Still, the others can only look on, helpless, as Fiver struggles with his visions. They know that his fear is not just for them, but for something greater, a danger that threatens not just their survival, but their very souls. The bond between Hazel and Fiver remains as strong as ever, despite the weight of uncertainty that surrounds them. Hazel is aware that his brother carries the burden of foresight, and while Hazel cannot fully understand the visions, he knows they are integral to their journey. They are not just running away from danger, they are running towards something that will give them the life they've always dreamed of. But what that something is, even Hazel does not fully know. As they continue their journey, the group becomes more tightly knit. They share stories, their voices quiet but steady, keeping the spirits high. They speak of the warren they hope to find, of the life they will build once they are free. It is a dream they hold on to, even when the world around them feels bleak. The rabbits are not just running toward survival, they are running toward a future. It is a future that will not come easily, but it is a future nonetheless. The group faces yet another obstacle when they reach a dense forest, the trees towering above them like ancient guardians. The shadows beneath the trees are thick, the air heavy with dampness. This forest, with its strange sounds and unfamiliar scents, is a world in itself. It is a place that feels both protective and dangerous. The rabbits move carefully through the underbrush, trying to make as little noise as possible. But as they move deeper into the forest, the sense of foreboding grows. They know that something is watching them, something they cannot see. The hairs on the back of their necks rise as they hear the rustling of leaves and the snapping of twigs. It is here that they encounter the next challenge, an encounter with a creature far more formidable than they had anticipated. The creature is a cat, sleek and silent, its eyes glowing like twin moons in the darkness. It pounces with lightning speed, its claws extending as it leaps toward the rabbits. The group scatters in all directions, panic setting in. Hazel, heart pounding, looks around to see who is in danger, but Bigwig is already acting. He charges toward the cat, his powerful body colliding with it, knocking the predator off balance. It is a brief but intense struggle, and for a moment, Hazel fears the worst. But Bigwig's strength prevails. He pushes the cat back, forcing it to retreat into the shadows. The group regroups quickly, their breath heavy in their chests. It is a narrow escape, but an escape nonetheless. They look to Bigwig with gratitude, knowing that without his bravery, they would not have made it through this encounter. But they also know that they cannot afford to rest. The world is full of dangers like this one, and they must be constantly vigilant. As they continue their journey, a new sense of urgency settles over the group. Every moment spent in the wild is another moment closer to danger. But with each step, they grow stronger. They are no longer just a group of frightened rabbits running from something. They are a community, united by a common purpose. And as they press on, they begin to believe more and more that they will find the warren they seek. It will not be easy, and it will require sacrifice, but they are ready to face whatever comes. Because in the end, the one thing that has carried them this far is their belief in each other and in the hope of a better future. They are not just fighting for survival. They are fighting for freedom, for a life of their own choosing. And nothing, not even the wild dangers of the world, can take that away. As the journey draws to a close, the rabbits' struggles and triumphs stand as a testament to their resilience and courage. The hardships they faced, from the dangers of the wild to the emotional and physical tolls of their journey, are woven into the very fabric of their story. Watership Down is not just a tale of survival, but a narrative of hope, sacrifice, and the unyielding spirit of community. Each step they took toward their new warren was a step away from fear, from oppression, and from a life lived under the shadow of others. Hazel, who began as a quiet and unsure leader, emerges as the embodiment of what it means to lead with compassion, wisdom, and bravery. His growth throughout the journey mirrors the growth of the group itself. No longer simply rabbits running from danger, they have become a family, united by their shared experiences, their struggles, and their dreams. Hazel's leadership is tested in ways that no one could have anticipated, but his unwavering commitment to his friends and to the idea of a better future never falters. Bigwig, once the brawn of the group, has evolved into a protector, a strategist, and a symbol of loyalty. His evolution is perhaps one of the most profound. His journey mirrors not just physical endurance, but an emotional transformation. Bigwig is no longer just a soldier in the fight for survival. He is a vital piece of the community's strength, showing that true leadership requires not just strength, but heart. Fiver, the visionary, though often troubled by his premonitions, plays an essential role in guiding the group toward their destiny. His ability to see beyond the immediate dangers and to understand the deeper currents of fate and survival becomes a guiding light. despite the burden of his visions, Fiver provides the insight and clarity the group needs when they are lost, offering a reminder that not all battles are won through physical strength, but through belief and foresight. The warren at Watership Down becomes more than just a physical refuge. It becomes a symbol of freedom, of new beginnings, and of the possibility of creating a life without fear. The significance of this place is profound. It is not just an escape from the dangers they faced, but a place where the rabbits can finally build a future based on their own terms. They can live free from the tyranny of others, free from the threats that loomed over them in the past. The book's themes of leadership, community, and the sacrifices made for the greater good resonate deeply, reflecting universal truths about the human condition. Though the story follows rabbits, it is ultimately a reflection of the struggle faced by all living beings, whether for survival, for a sense of belonging, or for the freedom to define one's own path in the world. Watership Down invites readers to reflect on their own lives, the communities they are part of, and the costs and rewards of leadership and loyalty. In the end, Richard Adams' tale of adventure is much more than just a survival story. It is a journey that transcends the bounds of its animal characters to explore deeply human themes: the quest for freedom, the value of unity in times of adversity, and the unbreakable bonds that can form between individuals who share a common goal. It is a reminder that the greatest battles are often not fought against external enemies, but against the forces within ourselves and within society that seek to suppress our will to live freely and with purpose. The rabbits at Watership Down have not only found a new home, but have also discovered the true meaning of freedom. They have triumphed over the dark forces that sought to control them, and in doing so, they have created a life where they can live without fear. Their journey, with all its obstacles and sacrifices, teaches us that the path to a better life is not easy, but it is worth every step. The significance of Watership Down, both as a physical place and as a symbol of freedom, is a reminder that no matter how daunting the journey may seem, the pursuit of a life defined by hope, compassion, and community is always worth fighting for. Through the challenges and triumphs, the rabbits show us the power of persistence, the importance of loyalty, and the unyielding need for a place to call our own. In the face of adversity, they stand tall, together as one, united by their shared struggle and by their dream of a life free from fear. Watership Down is not just a destination. It is the embodiment of what it means to fight for a better future, no matter the cost. In the end, the rabbits are not simply survivors. They are victors. And their victory is not just in finding a place to live, but in discovering what it means to truly live in freedom.